Hi everyone and welcome to the channel, and I'm here for an album review for you guys. Now for this review, I'm going to be reviewing an album by the band Genesis. Now Genesis is a band that I've been listening to a lot recently, and they're definitely a great band and probably one of my favorites in progressive rock. So the album that I will be reviewing is Genesis's album Selling England by the Pound. I believe this was the first Genesis CD that I've ever purchased too. And I have been returning to some songs from this album, and yeah, right off the bat, I do have to say that it is a great album. This is, of course, in Peter Gabriel's era, and some might argue that it's one of the best with Peter Gabriel. For me, it's not my favorite Genesis album, and probably not my favorite with Peter Gabriel, but I'd say it's a top 5 contender. I mean, it is a great album, though, so let's go ahead and talk about this album. The album starts off with Dancing in the Moonlit Night, which is a really good opening track, probably one of their best album openers. I mean, the thing that's interesting about this song is this song starts off right away with Peter Gabriel's vocals, and the beginning of this song has kind of a sense of beauty to it, and then you get to the guitar work, and this song basically just lets you know what's to come for this album, and it is a great song and definitely a great way to start off the album. Then you got the song I Know What I Like, which is a pretty catchy song and probably one of my favorites on the album. If you're someone that's looking for the more accessible side of this album, I think the song I Know What I Like is probably the song that'll do it for you the most. It is pretty catchy and memorable, and I think it's a great track. Again, probably one of my favorites. Same with the next song, Firth the Fifth. This song is easily one of my favorites on the album. Definitely a top 3 favorite song from this album. So yeah, I just really love everything about this song, just the way it flows and the guitar work and the solo work. I mean, this song probably has one of their best solos. I just really love the way that it's done. It's fantastic. I mean, right off the bat, you know that the first 3 songs on this album are just excellent. And of course, next you got More Fool Me, which is a more acoustic-driven track. It is a shorter song. It is one of the shorter songs off the album. And it's not one of my favorites, but I do think it's good, though. Then you got Battle of Epping Forest, which is one of the epics from the album. It is a good song, but it's not my favorite of the epics from the album. It is a pretty lengthy track, but I wouldn't say that it's a favorite, but it would probably be an honorable mention, if anything. I do think it is still a great track. Then you got After the Ordeal, which is an instrumental, and this is an instrumental that I don't really think to return to much, but as I was listening to it recently, it's one that I was actually really liking. I really like this instrumental. I just really like the piano work, the guitar work. Pretty much everyone does a really good job with that instrumental. And that leads on to The Cinema Show, which is maybe my favorite song on the album and easily one of my favorite Genesis songs, or at least one of my favorite Genesis songs with Peter Gabriel. I mean, I think everyone can agree that this is one of the best songs on the album. It's a pretty lengthy track. It is one of the epics, probably my favorite of the epics from the album. It's a little over 10 minutes, and I tell you what, this song does not waste any time. I mean, the fact that it's a little over 10 minutes, I think it deserves that song length. It's a really great song, and again, maybe one of the best Genesis songs. I mean, I just really love the flow and structure of this song as well, especially when you get to the second half of this song. I mean, that really long intro. I don't know what exactly is being used at the outro of this song, but I mean, the instrumentation is just fantastic and so intriguing at the end. It really is a really great track. And that, of course, leads on to the final track, Isle of Plenty, which is basically a short outro. It's kind of like the second part to The Cinema Show. It basically sounds like it's part of the same song, because The Cinema Show basically leads right on to the closing track. It's a decent way to close off the album, though. But yeah, definitely a great album. Probably not my favorite Genesis album, but again, maybe a top 5 contender. I think it's a great album, so that's my review for Selling England by the Pound by Genesis. If you're into progressive rock, this is definitely a must listen. If I were to give this album a score, I'd maybe either give it either an 8.7 or a 9 out of 10. I don't know, I got very little complaints with this album. I mean, this album is basically a solid album all the way through, and it's definitely worth a listen if you haven't heard it already. If you like progressive music, check out this album. So yeah, I think it's a great album, so that's my review. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Take care.